So I need to replace the floor in my bedroom here at the cabin. It's not insulated under the floor, so in the winter I actually get ice on the floor. I don't really want to insulate underneath if I can help it. What I'm going to try to do is put 1/2-inch rigid insulation down as sort of a subfloor, and then I've got a pile of cork flooring that I'm going to put over the top of it, or I'm going to try to. I don't know if I can do the insulation under it or not, but I'll give it a shot and we'll see what happens. Alright, so what we're going to do, we've got this 3/4 inch tongue and groove R4 Foamular. It's a high density foam insulation, and it looks like that along with the cork on top is going to line up just about perfectly with the wood flooring out there. I've got some red rosin paper right here, which I'm going to put down over the top of that, hopefully prevent any sort of squeaking. And that's it. Let's get started. So I'm reading the instructions, which I don't really like to do, but it's not a bad idea. And what it recommends is starting along the outside wall because it's a straighter wall, and then you move in. And I think what it really wants you to do is to measure from this wall, actually from this wall over to this wall, and then run a chalk line along about the area that's about 1 plank width away from the wall, and to start along there and build back, and then lay your last one in and sort of scribe it to fit the wall. I don't really like that because it's not really a big enough room, and I feel like it's just going to move as I'm pushing it in. I want to start it tight up against this wall, but the problem with that is I don't want to start with a full piece here and then end with a partial piece here, because this side is going to be more visible than that side, which is generally behind the bed. So what I think I'm going to do is cut, I wanted to cut the tongues off here anyways, but cut this row down about half of that overlap so that the edge pieces are roughly the same width. They're cut down, they'll be a little narrower than these, but they'll be roughly the same width to add some symmetry. So I am going to measure this length minus this tongue, because again the tongue gets eliminated, and I've got to leave it says to leave a 3/8 inch expansion gap on that wall, especially because it's going to expand out that way more so than back and forth. Alright, I've already run into some problems. Again, never really done this before. One, I cut off the tongue over here, which was stupid of me. I cut these in half, and I shouldn't have cut off the tongue. I did. The other thing that's problematic is that apparently this wall isn't quite straight, so there is a slight bow, and this doesn't line up perfectly with that, which means this next one isn't going to line up either. It's tight on the edges but not in the middle, because of course it's bowed there. So I may have to do what the package says and start with the second course, finish it off there, and then put this one in last, and it'll fit better into the wall that way. So that's where I'm at. I think I'm going to pull out that first course. The thing is that I sort of need to anchor the second one so that it doesn't move when I put in the third and fourth one.
Oh, okay. Here's what I did. Keep working with this.
I got these all the butt ends together, so you can't actually I cannot even tell where one ends. I guess it's right there, but you can hardly tell. So I got them all together, so I know that they're good and straight. And then I stuck a trim head screw in, one of these right there, and I measured across there, and there's no guarantee that that wall is straight across, but it's generally exactly the same length from the edge of that all the way to that wall. And I just measured down here back to the wall so that this edge relative to that wall is pretty consistent all the way. Now I have trim head screws all along here, so I should be able to pound these now in tight. And of course when I'm done I'll pull all those screws out so it's floating again. You don't want to pound on this. I'm sticking a piece of scrap under the edge. Actually, that's not a good idea either. You want to use a longer piece because once you pound it, it gets really hard to get out again. So I want to push these back so that the edges are butted up properly. So those are good. Now I got to push it over this way. Make sure you don't get anything underneath there that's going to make it not come together all the way. Let's start on the end. Let's see if that helps. I don't know. Not really going together very well. Oh, it's because this moved. Oh, damn it. Why did it move? More screws. This is really pretty difficult, but I'm making progress. You can see once it's downright, once it's laid downright, you cannot see the seams hardly at all. And if you do, you don't have it together. And it's easy to sort of give up and say, gosh, that's the best it's going to go. But keep working at it because there should be no visible seams. This is difficult because there isn't room really to swing the hammer as hard as I want. Just getting this gap to close is pretty tough, and I think the next one will be maybe not as tough because I can lever it against the wall. Right now I'm just trying different things to see if I can close up this gap, which of course is going to be the most visible area in the whole room. So, seems to be little by little closing. And so, this last row is pretty easy. I've got it cut so I've got that gap between the edge of the board and the wall, which is just enough to put the scrap in there. And then, I push this down here. It's going to wedge this in nice and tight. Hey, I'm done. What did I start at? Probably around 9:30, 10, and it's 5 o'clock now. I've got my gap along the wall and on both sides. And I've got a gap there, I took all the screws out, so it is truly floating. Today is about exactly the range they want you to, so sort of a 30 to 50% humidity, 70, 75 degrees, so perfect kind of middle of the road day. I assume it will shrink up quite a bit in the winter when it's 40 below zero, and it'll probably swell a bit when it's 90 in the summer, but I don't think we're going to have any problems with bowing. The fact that I used rigid insulation underneath here doesn't seem to affect anything at all. It's really solid, and the transition lines up pretty well. It's just a little higher. That should be easy to bridge. I thought it should point out that it's been exactly 5 years since I put this floor in. You might have seen the video. I think it's oil-based polyurethane nightmare. And I got so many people telling me it's never going to work because I put water-based over the top of the oil. And here it is, like I said, 5 years later, and the floors still look fantastic. They're hardly even scraped or scuffed up. You can also see some of the rest of the work that I've done in the last 5 years. Anyways, there you go.